Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the graduation ceremony for graduates of the Faculty of Asian and International Studies and the Faculty of Environmental Sciences. In a few minutes, the graduation ceremony will commence. The procession of staff will enter first. After a brief pause, the university fanfares will announce the entry of the dais party. I will signal to you by this action that you are to rise and remain standing until both the staff procession and the dais party are seated. Please do not stand until I ask you to. May I also remind you that flash photography is prohibited in this auditorium. For the mutual comfort and enjoyment of all members of the audience, the university requests your cooperation in observing this rule. Thank you.
The Right Honourable, the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Sir Julius Chan and Lady Chan, Professor Wang Gungwu, Vice-Chancellor of Hong Kong University, our guest this evening who will be receiving the honorary doctorate from the Griffith University, the Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Webb, ladies and gentlemen. It is the custom for Griffith University and its guests to gather to celebrate the conferral of academic awards on its graduates. These occasions are especially significant for our graduates, their families and friends, and also for the entire university community. On behalf of the Chancellor, it is my pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to everyone at this graduation ceremony this afternoon. Today's ceremony is not the wholly joyous occasion which it should be, as we are saddened by the absence of our esteemed colleague, Professor Philip Jones, who lost his long battle with illness towards the end of last year. His presence will be particularly missed at this afternoon's ceremony, as today will see the graduation of his first cohort of environmental engineering students. As Foundation Professor and Head of the School in Environmental Engineering, Professor Jones's leadership in developing the School of Environmental Engineering was inspirational. It is with a great deal of pleasure, therefore, that I welcome the late Professor's wife, Mrs. Eileen Jones, to this ceremony. Mrs. Jones has flown from Canada to be with us today. It is also my privilege and pleasure to welcome Professor Wang Gungwu as our guest speaker this afternoon. Professor Wang, a world-recognised specialist on Chinese and Southeast Asian history and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Hong Kong, is to receive the degree of Doctor of the University. More will be said about Professor Wang in a formal way later in the proceedings. In the meantime, I extend to him a very special welcome. We are delighted that he is able to share with us this important occasion in the life of the university, and look forward to hearing his address. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with a higher education institution which is as progressive and innovative as in its outlook as Griffith University. The recent National Quality Assurance Review ranked Griffith in the first band, confirming it as one of the nation's top universities. This first band placing reflects not only our vigorous adoption of quality improvement policies, but also the university's genuine commitment to the pursuit of excellence, academic rigour, student welfare, equity and intellectual freedom. Our graduates today illustrate the breadth and diversity of a modern university education in an innovative institution such as Griffith University. Graduates from the Faculty of Environmental Sciences will receive their awards, along with graduates from the Faculty of Asian and International Studies. We welcome all of them to this ceremony and readily acknowledge all their achievements. In response to the changing needs within the environmental sector, the Faculty of Environmental Sciences has developed and grown over the past 12 months. This year, the Faculty of Environmental Science took in its first students for the new School of Environmental Planning's 4-year bachelor program. The new degree focuses on the conservation of our natural resources and ways we can ensure good environmental management practice. The faculty has also combined its talents with the Faculty of Education to establish the new Centre for Innovation and Research in Environmental Education. The centre is a valuable addition to the faculty's extensive offerings and strengths in the field of environmental education. The faculty's work in environmental education has been recognised by the Queensland Government, which recently promised to help fund a world-class environmental facility at the university's Nathan campus. This environmental centre will provide training for students as well as enabling the wider community to learn more about their environment through public education courses. The Faculty of Asian and International Studies, one of the original academic divisions of the university, has also achieved some noteworthy successes in the past year. The Languages and Applied Linguistics building, which will house the new School of Language and Applied Linguistics, was completed late last year and opened by the Premier, the Honourable Wayne Goss. The building, which incorporates state-of-the-art technology, will be fully operational this year, and the new degree program in Languages and Applied Linguistics will commence in 1996. Another new initiative for the faculty has been the successful tendering to the Open University Learning Agency for units in Modern Standard Chinese and Introducing Asian Studies. Also, the Key Centre for Asian Languages was successful in gaining Commonwealth funding for 1995 and additional funding for a further 2-year period. 2 new senior staff were appointed to chairs in the faculty last year. Professor Sandra Buckley was appointed to the chair in Japanese Studies, while Professor Ken Tucker was appointed to the chair in International Business. Professor Colin McCarris, the director of the Key Centre for Asian Languages, was also recently appointed to the important position of part-time chair of the Task Force for the Implementation of the Council of the Australian Government's Asian Language Policy. Let me return now to the students who have completed their studies and who are to receive their awards today. They have demonstrated a command of the knowledge and skills necessary for their chosen field of endeavour, as well as a willingness to persist with the level of discipline needed for high achievement in any field. Together, these qualities provide an excellent foundation for establishing a successful career. Our graduates this afternoon join an impressive company of people who have gone before them and who have already achieved success and acclaim in Australia and overseas. Our new graduates will, I am sure, make an equal contribution. As we continue with today's proceedings, I express warm congratulations to each one of them and extend to them our best wishes for their lives ahead. Thank you very much. I now call on the Deans to present the graduates from their respective faculties who are to receive their awards at this ceremony.
Acting Deputy Chancellor, the Dean of the Faculty of Asian and International Studies.
Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Arts in Modern Asian Studies. Alida Alberti. Peter Allison. Judy Bailey. Leslie Barney. Diane Bean. Anthony Bieber. Susan Bird. Natalie Brown. Cara Burge. Mandy Carswell. Jessica Chowdhury. Cameron Clark. Peter Clark. Nancy Kroll. Emily Darling. Alexander Dontis. Albert Ainink. Craig Aniva. Sarah Filewood. Alexandra Ford. Rebecca Green. Berin Hamilton. Deanne Harland. Brian Healy. Natasha Johnson. Janet Kennedy. Michelle Knight. Joanne Coy. Grace Lynn. Beverly Macon. Ross Maslin. Fiona McKenna. Rachel Moran. Shannon Morris. Trevor Murray. Deanna Nielsen. Ben O'Connor. Kylie Patterson. Manipet Pompida. Kirsty Plew. Adrian Redding. Margaret Renwick. Warren Riches. Julie Sherman. Peter Smith. Judith Standish. Michelle Stewart. Craig Thorpe. Kelly Trigger. Naoko Uchiumi. Gail Virgo. Maria Walker. Karen Warren. Tanya Watts. Gerard White. Cara Wright. Mark Wright. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of International Business. Judith Allen. Anthony Baker. Karim Belkaid. Rachel Black. Nicholas Brinkworth. Wayne Bugler. Denise Kajukom. Peter Canny. Mark Chan. Belinda Christie. Sharon Chu. Owen Clark. Gregory Collier. Bernadette Cronin. Kamal Dutta. Deborah Egan O'Reilly. Megan Gray. Harold Haldane. Rebecca Hall. Damien Hurd. Louise Jones. Julie Cubbery. Marcia Kappa. Lydia Kennedy. Vanessa Curley. Christine La Rocca. Tammy Lamb. Kate Lambert. Jason Leitch. Fiona Lewis. Roger Liebers. Scott Maitland. Benjamin Meyer. Sandra Moran. Giovanna Morasut. Paula Mowbray. Rebecca Rogan. Arjuna Rupasinghe. Natalie Scott. Kufeng Shan. Marcus Sim. Michelle Solomon. Josephine Tan. Mackland Tan. Deborah Taylor. Louise Train. Tumi Tran. Lin Hui Tseng. Meredith Ward. Lyndall Wheeler. Leah Wheeler. Julie Willis. Brett Young. Acting Deputy Chancellor, the Medal for Achievement in the Bachelor's Degree course may be awarded annually to the graduate with the highest academic achievement in the course. The medal is not awarded if there is no candidate of sufficient merit. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the 1994 Asian Studies Medal, Maria Kathleen Walker. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the 1994 International Business Medal, Natalie Sue Scott. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Bachelor of Arts with First Class Honours in Modern Asian Studies, Linda Bennett. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Bachelor of Arts with Second Class Honours Division A, Modern Asian Studies, Duncan Miller. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Bachelor of International Business with First Class Honours, Melissa Wilkinson. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present two graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of International Business with Second Class Honours Division A, Noel Cheeseman. And Peter Ross. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Diploma of Chinese Language, Judith Standish. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Diploma of Indonesian Language, Meredith Ward. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present two graduates who have been granted the Graduate Diploma of Japanese Language, Julie Sherman and Karen Warren. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Diploma of Korean Language, Lyndall Wheeler. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Arts in International Studies, Gregory Chaikin. Vimpi Janeja. Malcolm Lane. Hiroshi Ogihara. Desley Vine. Acting Deputy Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of graduates of the Faculty of Asian and International Studies.
Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present the Dean of the Faculty of Environmental Sciences. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Bachelor of Engineering in Environmental Engineering, Lawrence Lyons. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Science in Applied Mathematics and Statistics, Shannon Burke. Wendy Douglas. Kieran Grogan. Matthew Hall. Gregory Konstantinos. Kanageshwaran Loganthithon. Marianne McCarthy. Veronica McEwen. Patrizia Salesi. John Spedding. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Science in Australian Environmental Studies, Helen Barham-Lowe. Mark Badstone. Lisa Benson. Mark Brindley. Kirsten Bishop. Jenny Bush. Chris Chin. Catherine Cleary. Louise Coleman. Raylene Dan. Lorna Davis. Jeffrey Doyle. Claire Drisson. Brendan Ebzery. Michelle Elms. Cherie Farrell. Amanda Gardner. Bradley Grant. Deanna Grant-Smith. Ruth Hester. Sharon Hollamby. Gregory Holland. Jodie Johnston. Robert Johnston. Mariana Joe. Paul Langford. Lisa Lestrange. James Luong. Heather Lyons. Brendan McNee. Tara Martin. Paul McDonald. Kim McLeod. Mark McSenna. Catherine Moran. Stephen Moriarty. Simon Namir. Nina O'Neill Fitzsimmons. Dino Posibon. Graham Prince-Large. Will Slalom. Robert Stevenson. Adam Sullivan. Garnet Swan. Stephen Tapsell. Renata Tasselli. Nikki Tees. Cole Thornton. Kayleen Trevorrow. Kate Turner. Megan Turner. Helen Wallace. Hugh Wedgwood. Ben Westerberg. Liam Wilson. Scott Wintle. Daniel White. Danny Young. Peter Zessen. Bronwyn Robertson. Acting Deputy Chancellor, the Medal for Achievement in the Bachelor's Degree course may be awarded annually to the graduate with the highest academic achievement in the course. The medal is not awarded if there is no candidate of sufficient merit. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Medals of Achievement. Environmental Engineering Medal, Vicky Levy. Environmental Sciences Medal, Nina O'Neill Fitzsimmons. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Engineering in Environmental Engineering with first-class honours. Sue Hogg. Bradley Kitchen. Vicky Levy. Stephanie Locke. Nicholas Marsh. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Engineering in Environmental Engineering with second-class honours Division A. Danielle Bryant. Kylie Crouch. Tanya Freeman. Glenn Hedges. John Howdle. Andrew Logan. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Engineering in Environmental Engineering with second-class honours Division B. Brianne Carver. Malcolm Minahan. Craig Watt. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Bachelor of Science with first-class honours in Applied Mathematics and Statistics. Michael Kenneth Townsley. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Bachelor of Science with first-class honours Division A in Applied Mathematics and Statistics. Peta Michelle Young. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Bachelor of Science with first-class honours in Australian Environmental Studies. Stephen Chenoweth. David Herwood. Michael O'Keefe. Kate Park. Nicole Riley. Randall Story. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Graduate Diploma of Environmental Quality. Rachel Carter. Michael Bircham. Rachel Carter. Catherine Gash. Matthew Kinane. Michael Lanchester. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Graduate Diploma of Land Management and Ecological Processes. Janine Marta. Stacey McLean. Scott Mears. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Graduate Diploma of Waste Management, Palmer Nand. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Engineering Science in Waste Management, Dowd Bachelor. Jim Dodds. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Environmental and Community Health, Karen Heel. Melissa Stoneham. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Environmental Education, Debbie Ledger. Jules Strawn. Morris Ware. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present a graduate who has been granted the Master of Public Health, Sue Cook. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present graduates who have been granted the Master of Science in Environmental Management, Philip Bell. Douglas Boys. Robert Bruner. Kerry Dent. Peter Luce. Andrew Martin. Jeffrey Mears. Peter Murtagh. Steve Reynolds. Fred Stewart. Nicola Udi. David Vernon. Arian Wheeler. Kim Whitney. Michael Yates. Acting Deputy Chancellor, that concludes the presentations of the graduates of the Faculty of Environmental Sciences.
Acting Deputy Chancellor, the University Medal may be awarded to a graduate who has completed the requirements for both a bachelor's degree of the University and a degree with honours in recognition of academic excellence. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I'm pleased to present a graduate of the Faculty of Environmental Sciences who has been granted the 1994 University Medal, Catherine Marie Park. Acting Deputy Chancellor, before proceeding with the presentation of the Research Higher Degree graduates, I shall, with your approval, read a citation introducing each of those graduates. Acting Deputy Chancellor, the Master of Philosophy degree is a program of supervised research training culminating in a thesis which must demonstrate the candidate's knowledge of a particular discipline and research topic, a capacity for clear, methodical thinking and the ability to present the results of research in a succinct and cogent form. Tonight, the University is proud to honour a graduate who has satisfied these criteria for the award of the degree. Acting Deputy Chancellor Fan Chen has been granted the degree of Master of Philosophy taken in the Faculty of Asian and International Studies. Acting Deputy Chancellor, the environmental impact of rapid population growth in Xinjiang Province, a desert region in northwestern China, concerned Mr Chen when he was an engineer in the Environmental Monitoring Centre during the 1980s. This research was undertaken for the sake of environmental protection and resources preservation, with the hope that it will arouse widespread awareness of the dire problems to be faced in achieving sustainable economic growth while providing for the future needs of the population. Acting Deputy Chancellor, the degree of Doctor of Philosophy is awarded to a graduate who has successfully completed a prescribed program of study, principally of research. A thesis embodying the outcomes of the research is the principal basis of examination. The degree is only awarded if the examiners are satisfied that the thesis makes a significant and original contribution to knowledge and understanding of the field of knowledge with which it is concerned. Tonight, the University is proud to honour its Doctor of Philosophy graduates who have satisfied these rigorous criteria for the award of the degree. Acting Deputy Chancellor Yang Hoon Chow has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy taken in the Faculty of Asian and International Studies. A path-breaking study in Korean historiography, Dr. Cho's thesis provides an approach for understanding the politics of divided Korea through a close look at the nature of the modern history writing produced both in the North and the South. It also traces the enormous changes in the 1980s and 1990s in the history writing of both parts of the peninsula, especially on such crucial issues as Korea's liberation from the Japanese in 1945 and the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. Acting Deputy Chancellor, Dr. Cho's research has been accepted as satisfying the requirements for the award of the degree. Acting Deputy Chancellor, John Bernard Prendergast has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy taken in the Faculty of Environmental Sciences. Irrigation can lead to higher water tables and so to less salt leaching in the root zone and lower plant production. These salinity problems can be overcome by locating pumps deep in the aquifer and using pumped groundwater in conjunction with good quality surface water. Dr. Prendergast has developed theory to describe the hydrologic and production performance of this system, comparing theory with experimental evidence. This work provides the basis for this salinity control option, often the most cost-effective control method. Acting Deputy Chancellor, Dr. Prendergast's research has been accepted as satisfying the requirements for award of the degree. Acting Deputy Chancellor, Richard Paul Robbins has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy taken in the Faculty of Environmental Sciences. The investigation of Aboriginal occupation of Australia is a rapidly expanding research field. Dr. Robbins has researched the Currawinja Lakes area of southwestern Queensland, finding occupation sites dated to 13,000 years before the present. Dr. Robbins' work contributes significantly to the growing use of the landscape approach in exploratory archaeological investigation. Acting Deputy Chancellor, Dr. Robbins' research has been accepted as satisfying the requirements for award of the degree. Acting Deputy Chancellor, Anne Elizabeth Robinson has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy taken in the Faculty of Environmental Sciences. Many species of Australian birds are of special interest to evolutionary biologists in that they breed cooperatively. Young birds are reared by individuals other than their parents. Dr. Robinson has examined explanations of this phenomenon by studying a population of pied butcherbirds. Results from observations of birds feeding nestlings and DNA fingerprinting did not support any of the conventional hypotheses. Dr. Robinson found that the young in a nest were not all offspring of a single set of parents, and the helpers were those with the highest probability of being parents. Dr. Robinson's study is a significant advance in the understanding of cooperative breeding. Acting Deputy Chancellor, Dr. Robinson's research has been accepted as satisfying the requirements for the award of this degree. Acting Deputy Chancellor, that concludes the introduction of the candidates. I shall now ask that they be presented with their awards. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present Yang Hoon Cho, who has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present John Bernard Prendergast, who has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present Richard Paul Robbins, who has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Acting Deputy Chancellor, I present Anne Elizabeth Robinson, who has been granted the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Acting Deputy Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of Master of Philosophy and Doctor of Philosophy graduates.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will now be a brief musical interlude performed by the Griffith University Collegiate Singers.
to the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go down to the woods today, you'd better go in disguise. For every bear that ever there was will gather there for certain, because today's the day the teddy bears at their picnic. Oh, every teddy bear who's been good is sure of a treat today. There's lots of marvelous things to eat and wonderful games to play. Beneath the trees where nobody sees, they'll hide and seek as long as they please, 'cause that's the way the teddy bears have their because today's the day that Teddy gets back the pig again.
With the authority of the Council, I shall now confer the degree of Doctor of the University. I call upon the Vice-Chancellor to make this presentation.
Acting Deputy Chancellor, the Council of the University has resolved to award the degree of Doctor of the University to Professor Wang Gung Wu, CBE. Wang Gung Wu was born in Surabaya, Java in October 1930. He was educated at Anderson School in Ipoh, Malaysia, and at the School of African and Oriental Studies at the University of London, where he gained his doctoral degree in 1957. From then until 1968, he worked at the University of Malaya, where he was Dean of Arts from 1962 to 1963 and Professor of History from 1963 to 1968. In 1968, Professor Wang Gung Wu came to Australia, taking up the position of Head of the Department of Far Eastern History at the Australian National University, working at that university until 1986. From 1975 to 1980, he was also Director of the Research School of Pacific Studies. As Vice-Chancellor of the University of Hong Kong since August 1986, Professor Wang Gung Wu has made significant and lasting contributions to the growth and advancement of that institution. Under his strong leadership and expert direction, the university has developed a worldwide reputation for excellence in education. Its medical faculty has become one of the world's centres of excellence in the discipline, and the university continues to thrive as a centre for research in a wide range of areas, particularly molecular biology. Professor Wang Gung Wu has been instrumental in encouraging a new spirit of outreach which aims to foster and coordinate collaboration and exchange globally, within the Asian region and with China. In addition to these positions, Professor Wang Gung Wu has also occupied visiting professorial and fellowship positions in the United States and Britain, as well as numerous senior leadership positions in professional associations, such as President of the Asian Studies Association of Australia and of the International Association for Historians of Asia. He has also found time to serve on major government committees in various parts of the world. Most importantly, he was chairman of the Australia-China Council from 1984 to 1986 and a member of the Executive Council of Hong Kong from 1990 to 1992. Professor Wang Gung Wu has a long and impressive publications list, and the range of his expertise is astonishingly broad, encompassing East and Southeast Asia, both past and present. He is among the world's leading authorities on Chinese history, especially that of the 9th and 10th centuries, and early Chinese relations with Southeast Asia, as well as on the Chinese in Southeast Asia. Some of his most influential early publications on these subjects include The Structure of Power in North China During the Five Dynasties, published in 1963, and The Nunhai Trade, published in 1958. His essays on relations between China and the Chinese in Southeast Asia have been so wide-ranging, numerous and influential that they have been collected into several volumes, in particular Community and Nation, Essays on Southeast Asia and the Chinese in 1981, and China and the Chinese Overseas, published in 1991. Professor Wang Gung Wu's life has been one of total commitment to academe. In addition to his published work, he is a gifted teacher who has served as a model and mentor for younger generations of scholars. His interesting and provocative ideas have encouraged and challenged students. As well as publishing and teaching, he has made numerous appearances on radio and television. His lucid and insightful comments have made him particularly influential among commentators on Asian affairs. With a wealth of knowledge and understanding of both Australian and Asian cultures, Professor Wang Gungwu has always been concerned about relations between these areas and nations. His work and career have contributed extensively to improving relationships, particularly through his chairmanship of the Australia-China Council. It is doubtful if any other person has provided such leadership in this country and in Asia to the development of Asian studies in general and China studies in particular, or to Australia's relations with Asian nations and the relations between Australians and Asians. It is especially fitting that the Council of Griffith University should honour Professor Wang Gungwu in recognition of his distinguished services to education and the community. Acting Deputy Chancellor, it is with great pleasure that I present to you Professor Wang Gungwu for admission to the degree of Doctor of the University.
I now call upon Professor Wang Gungwu, CBE, Doctor of the University, to deliver the occasional address.
Acting Deputy Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, fellow graduates of Griffith University, colleagues and friends, the last time I spoke at the Griffith University nearly 10 years ago, it was to congratulate the graduates of this very fine university on their readiness to go forth into a new world of Australia-Asian relations. It was an occasion for me to praise the university for being the first to open its doors with a school dedicated to contemporary Asian studies. I was honored to do so. Today, it is an even greater honor for me to join your ranks as one of you. I'm particularly proud to join a university that has shown how speedily and skillfully it can prepare itself for the remarkable changes that have occurred during the past 2.5 decades. By concentrating on many of these changes in Asia, Griffith University was among the first to see the importance of the economic revolution in Asia. It is interesting to see how universities in Asia themselves are paying more attention to the people who have made that revolution possible, the wealth-minded national leaders and the businessmen whom they have encouraged. I have observed that even the Chinese, who have always placed the merchants at the bottom of the social scale, have revised their views on the subject. It seems therefore appropriate for me to make particular reference to the new breed of businessmen in Asia and offer some thoughts on the larger impact that their activities might bring to the region. The term businessmen is a generic term that includes many kinds of people. At the level of trader or merchant, there have always been such people in Asia. But if you include the entrepreneur, the industrialist, the financier, and other professionals in the world of business today, then we are talking about different kinds of protagonists in the economic transformation of what had been primarily agrarian societies. Asia, of course, is a large, complex, and something really hard to generalize about. Nevertheless, I think there is no question that the role of the businessmen all over Asia has been greatly enhanced during the past 2 decades. It is arguable whether this enhancement was directly due to the challenge of Western capitalism and imperialism, or whether it was really the result of nationalist pressures or nationalist responses to poverty and backwardness. For Australia today, it matters little which is correct. The important thing is to understand that there is a new appreciation of what businessmen can do to enrich a nation, and therefore to set about to study how these businessmen function in their respective countries, in the region and elsewhere. The first thing to note is that Asian businessmen work very closely with their governments. At one end, they are virtually indistinguishable from the specialist officials who administer the state enterprises and the various planning and control organs. At the other end, they are doing business with at least official encouragement, if not actual direction, especially when they have foreign partners or when they venture beyond their national boundaries. For many years, commentators have focused on the question of whether these businessmen in Asia have succeeded because they mastered well the lessons from their earlier Western counterparts, who so dominated the economies of the region for the past 2 centuries. The famous Chinese dictum, Chinese learning as base and Western learning as application, could perhaps be adapted here to read Asian values as base, Western science as application. If this is at all justified, then these businessmen are Asians first, and they're using what they have learned from the West in order to put it in one way, to beat the West at their own game. It probably is not that simple. Of course, the necessary science and technology have to be acquired. At the same time, banking and credit principles, commercial law and accounting practices all have to be incorporated into the new Asian enterprises. At the next stage, higher levels of education and training were needed to prepare a whole new generation of executives and technicians to manage the businesses and industries. And as each country became increasingly urbanized, and there are now larger cities and towns all over Asia, universal education then followed. And with that came education for girls. More women joined the workforce. And that changed the nature of the nuclear family, as more of them became dependent on 2 incomes. There is a degree of inevitability about all this, and there are studies now which show that more changes will follow. Thus, the cry around Asia is to put a halt to the tendency to tread the path taken by all countries in Europe, North America, and Australasia. In particular, warnings have been sounded against excessive individualism, warnings about environmental degradation, and in particular, warnings against the exponential growth of the social welfare system. And you would have all heard about all these. Here, of course, the example of Japan, the leader in Asian business, is thoroughly ambivalent. Almost the most isolated Asian state until the middle of the 19th century, it has gone furthest and fastest in adapting to Western science and technology. Yet it appears to have preserved most of its basic cultural values. No one, however, can be confident that Japan can be a model for all the others. The fine data that we've collected now and we've used to explain their cultural values have only shown how little Japan has in common with the rest of Asia. Even the Buddhism and Confucianism of Japan have distinct Japanese characteristics. It is obviously one thing for Japan to take from and adapt what it borrowed from the rest of Asia, but quite another thing for the rest of Asia to try and take or learn from Japan what Japan had uniquely shaped through its own chemistry. But in the realm of business, however, there may be something that is less quintessentially Japanese and more in line with the inclinations of other Asian countries. And I refer to the cozy relationship between government and business that has been diagnosed as the secret of Japan's economic success. Now, this is not a place to argue whether Japan originated this form of relationship or not. What is striking is how attractive the idea of government directing business to create more wealth and hence more power, how attractive that is to most other Asian leaders. There may have been a general predisposition towards such a relationship anyway, which is generally recognized as Asian. I'm not certain that this is so, but I expect that this will be studied carefully in time. I might add that a cozy relationship between government and business does not always work. You may recall that some state governments in Australia had experimented with such a relationship with disastrous results. Maybe that failed in Australia because Australia has passed the stage when this kind of relationship can work. Maybe it was simply not part of Australian culture. Or maybe the sharpest brains had gone into business and not, as has been likely in Asia, been recruited very specially and very carefully into the political and bureaucratic arenas. What is clear is that in many parts of Asia, governments have exercised power in economic development and have attracted the most talented people to work in them. More recently, this has further evolved into a wider appreciation of the importance of the private sector itself. Therefore, the model of the government as superior business strategist doing the instructing and businessmen as loyal servants acting along the guidelines provided for them, that model has become one that many countries in Asia have chosen to follow. There are, of course, subtle features in the relationship which may vary from country to country and from business group to business group. But the basic idea is both simple and appealing to the Asian nationalist leaders who want their countries to grow strong quickly. With the exception of the Philippines and also of Hong Kong, whose governments have been less intrusive, all of East and Southeast Asia have applied the formula to their plans and to all their efforts. Now, if this continues and shapes the economies of the region for the future, what is Australia to do? After living for the past 9 years in the heart of the region, in Hong Kong, I'm struck by the success of Australian universities in selling education to various groups of Asians in the APEC region, the Asia-Pacific Economic Region, Caucasus region. Similarly, universities in North America and the European Union, including Britain, have also been most successful. Now, is this going to make a difference in the long run and make the products of all this education more like Australians and other Westerners? On the surface, this is happening. I have mentioned just now higher standards of scientific education and the introduction of modern economics, finance, and accounting. More broadly, urbanization has changed everyone's lifestyle, and the education of women, in particular, has transformed the nuclear family. Questions of standards, of quality control, of accountability and transparency, of law and the protection of private property, protection of the environment, and also protection of political and individual rights, these questions have been raised everywhere. And there have also been the growth of new social classes, the advent of party politics, and the communications revolution that has made global interdependence a necessity for everybody. Now, all these would suggest that as the businessmen in Asia have increasingly to cope with similar social and political problems as those faced by businessmen in the West and in Australia, they simply would have to become more like their Western counterparts. Now, is it that simple? There are, I believe, strong undercurrents underneath which need our attention. There is evidence that by speeding up the acquisition of the latest advanced scientific skills, the Asian governments have increased their ability to direct patriotic businessmen to enrich their countries in traditionally acceptable ways. If Japan is any guide to the future, Asian businessmen will contribute their share of Western learning to serve an essentially Asian base. Now, this is likely to happen for one important reason. Deep-rooted traditions are no longer being rejected as backward and irrelevant. Everywhere there are calls for revival or restoration of religions, ethical systems, and cultural artifacts of every description. Whether these are more akin to defensive, atavistic reactions that try to turn the clock back, or whether they are more forward-looking and could be compared to the Renaissance in Western Europe, is probably too early for us to tell. But that kind of appeal has grown strong and should not be ignored by the rest of us. Certainly, nationalist elites all over Asia are fighting to bring back respect for their respective traditions. They do not hesitate to use the government machinery to support popular movements that give full expression to such demands. For Asian businessmen, 3 different ways of doing business, all compatible with one another in their eyes, I believe, may be employed. They could model themselves on Western entrepreneurs and use and follow their large management structures. They could also become close partners of the state in commercial and industrial enterprises and receive not only strong support against foreign competitors, but also rich rewards as national economic heroes. Or most of them may prefer to think in less ambitious terms and focus on the family firm, a very traditional way of doing business. The family firm as the basic unit of business as it has always been. Here I refer to the firms based on extended families, most commonly found among the Chinese, but also known among the Indians and several other groups, ethnic groups in the region. These firms are never more than small to medium size, but always the great survivors, quick to grow and easy to defend and revive, always maneuverable, flexible, and adaptable. As Australians venture forth into Asia, they will encounter many varieties of response to the astonishing impact of Western civilization in Asia. I suggest that you do not let them dazzle you too much. Instead, it would be wise to anticipate the power of rejuvenated traditions in the future of Asian development, even among the most progressive businessmen. Instead of studying Asian cultures and traditions as something exotic and belonging to the past, in this new context, it would certainly be essential to study the great traditions of Asia in order to understand what the new generations of Asian businessmen hope to achieve in the 21st century. With those few thoughts, let me say again what an honor it is for me to stand before you again and share your pride and pleasure in graduating from this most entrepreneurial university. You have a great responsibility as the future leaders of the Australian enterprise in Asia. And may I join in wishing all of you every success. Thank you.
Acting Deputy Chancellor, it's my pleasure to offer thanks on behalf of all of those gathered here this afternoon to our very distinguished Doctor of the University and guest this afternoon. I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to my colleagues on the platform and to our students that Professor Wangang Wu has not chosen this occasion to confine himself to the courtesies and the trivialities that might perhaps suggest themselves for a lighter occasion of graduation. He has, in fact, led us through some challenging thoughts, as is his custom, about Asia and about Australian-Asian relationships. One often hears from other sources of the temptation for Australian business and government to follow the Asian concept of government-led business, government-influenced business. Here in Australia, it very often manifests itself in the form of a cry for protection, more tariffs, more privileges, more opportunities to be handed out on an exclusive basis. But I think in Professor Wangang Wu's hands, we have a very different concept of government-led business in Asia, and one which I think should attract scholarly attention and the attention of policy makers in our land. He has referred to the rejection of many of the problems of the West in the course of Asian development, excessive individualism, environmental degradation, an excess of the welfare state, and he has pointed to some of those exciting aspects of Asian culture, or Asian cultures, plural, which might well influence our policymakers and our citizens' thinking here in Australia. Well, thank you, Professor Wangang Wu, for those very challenging thoughts, and could I ask all of us to join together to thank our distinguished speaker. It's my personal pleasure to offer congratulations to our graduates, to wish them well in their undoubtedly distinguished prospective careers, and to exhort them all to join the Alumni Association of Griffith University and stay in touch with their alma mater. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment, the Griffith University Collegiate Singers will sing the traditional student song Gariama Sigatur. You are invited to join in the singing of the song, whose words appear on page 23 of your program. Please rise as the singers enter and remain standing during the singing. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony is now concluded. When the fanfares begin, please remain standing as the Deus Party, the staff procession and the graduates retire. Thank you.